One big important thing about this chapter. Ironwood is the Chad. No questions about it. Hey, what is going on, everybody? How are you all doing today? I hope you all are having a wonderful and fantastic day today, and if not, hopefully you all will have a better tomorrow. So, RWBY Volume 7, Chapter 11 is out to the public, so it is time to review it. And it starts off with the fight between Ironwood and Watts. And now with this fight, of course, they used the gravity field arena that they were going to use back in Volume 3, and they never had enough time for, so that was pretty interesting. They decided to use it. Of course, this is basically an old face-off with guns this time, which, hey, let's all be real. Guns in RWBY have never been useful. I mean, the only time would be to kill off a Grim, right? It's never, ever been really reliable as a weapon in RWBY, and we've seen it multiple times where it just straight up fails. Then again, let's be real. Who expected a real severe gun wound? I mean, I could definitely guarantee you that I didn't, because guns in Grim, they result in two of the same thing. Not being fearsome or intimidating, because they don't ever do anything fearsome or intimidating. But as the fight continues, during the entire fight, you have Watts, who's been counting down rounds from his weapon, and this was ridiculous. I didn't think there was any need for him to count down how many shots he actually had. And can you imagine fighting off against a military leader and a leader of a country with only 20 shots? Come on. What? I don't know how Watts thought he was going to win that. And, here's the other thing. They could have actually had a joke where Watts could have been like, "You feeling lucky, punk? Well, do you? Did I shoot 5 shots or 6? That would have been a pretty cool reference, but no, they didn't do that. But of course, in the end, you have Watts who thinks his plan to hold Ironwood with a hard light shield would be enough to stop him. You see, here's the funny thing. He tries to come down to the reason of, oh, well, if you get out of that, you're going to lose an arm. You're going to become more robotic. Here's the thing. Ironwood is not a character that has ever had any conflict with his humanity. He's not one who has sat around and thought to himself, am I becoming more machine than I am man? He's not that character. He's a character that, when it comes down to it, he will sacrifice whatever it takes to save the people that he's trying to defend, which would be Atlas in this case. Now, of course, Watts, if you notice, the rings on his hand are not there. That's what provides his hard light shield, apparently. Just an interesting little thing that I noticed. But when it comes to Ironwood, the big thing is that this battle here is a defining moment for his character, because it shows that he is willing to sacrifice anything, that includes his own body, for his resolve. And this was a huge moment for Ironwood's character. And I have to say, I absolutely love this moment. This shows how much of the Chad Ironwood is. And this is just the start of that. And of course, when he gets out of that hard light shield, he grabs Watts and starts grinding him against the ground. I thought that was fantastic. And, Ironwood, I mean, this is a man amongst men right here. This was an amazing moment. This reminded me of Theodore Roosevelt. And I gotta say, he's my favorite American president, because you should look him up. He was a man amongst men. I mean, we're talking a man that got shot in the chest while giving a speech and then got back up and continued to give that speech. Ironwood is that man. He is a champion. I mean, good God, Ironwood is fantastic. I mean, he is amazing. Now, as for Watts, during this fight, RWBY tends to do the same thing it does with all backstories, or at least most of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them. Where, yeah, they don't show it. They just tell of how Watts has an issue with Ironwood, about how, oh, James, you didn't accept my genius, and how dare you choose Geppetto over me, you terrible man. It's basically all it was for Watts. And the thing is that they were trying to build this up, but the thing of it is, they failed at it miserably. Because having a thumb over a picture frame, it's terrible. But Watts falls into that category of the antagonist and many other characters that have their backstories not shown, but rather told. And this is one big problem with RWBY, is because you get more of the impact from being shown these things. I mean, yes, you can lead up to it, and that foreshadows it, but the thing of it is that when it's that time to present it, you need to show it. And RWBY didn't do that with Watts yet again. It feels very rushed. I mean, that's the thing about this fight. This fight, to me, was kind of meh. You know, it was could have been a lot better. There was a lot of issues with choreography where there were times where the bodies of the characters just didn't really flow properly. It didn't make much sense, really. So there's that. Now, of course, speaking of fights, the next fight is Tyrion versus Robin Hillary Clinton, Mr. I'm Perfect, Good Luck Guy, and Ben, I'm the Replacement Bronwyn. Now, think about this as this fight is very uninteresting. I mean, here's the thing. Tyrion's character, like his character, he's great. Enjoy him. But they shafted him hard here. And they were leading this up because, of course, you know, Ben Bronwyn is going to be fighting him. And we know that back in Volume 4, Crow fought Tyrion. So the opening was leading this on, and what did we really get? Instead of seeing an epic fight to where Tyrion's going to fight Ben, Robin, Hillary, and Mr. Perfect, yeah, they just really rushed the fight and they just shafted Tyrion here. I was very disappointed with this fight. There's that. And, you know, there's something I want to bring up about this fight as well. So, if you notice, Robin's arrow explodes in this chapter. Now, you're probably wondering, well, what's wrong with that? Okay, so go back to the previous chapter. Tyrion catches her arrow between his fingers. And when he does so, it doesn't explode. But now, for some reason, her arrow explodes when he catches it in his mouth, which then, of course, also leads to breaking his aura. Yeah, that's kind of strange. Why didn't she just have her first arrow she shot explode? That doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, had you had this ability the entire time, then why didn't you do it prior? But here's the other weird thing. Tyrion basically just falls over after his aura breaks. They treat it as if it's like a comedy scene. And the problem with this is that this makes the antagonist just kind of feel like they're a joke. It doesn't really make them feel like they're really a threat. And that's the big problem, because the antagonists really do need a win here. And with having this scene happen and the way it did, you know, then you just have Robin come over, kick Tyrion in the face, he's out. It just feels off. Tyrion is stronger than that. And you would imagine that he would, you know, easily just handle everybody. I'm not saying just beat them outright, but I'm saying he would be a lot stronger in regards to fighting here. But this is very rushed. But even so, it just makes the antagonist look inferior still. It just makes the antagonist look like they're not intimidating, and it just treats them as if they're a joke. And that's the big thing here, is that Tyrion and Watts both are two of the big villains of the entire volume. Now, you would imagine that there would have been more to them, and of course, their characters being rushed here. I mean, the other thing about Tyrion is that the only thing we learned about his character from his past is that he was a murderer. That's it. We don't know anything else. We don't know about his whole history of growing up and anything of that sort. Watts, as I said, not a whole lot to him either, other than Ironwood just accepted Pietro over him. I mean, that's about it, really. Nothing more to really say other than that's just one of the biggest problems of the antagonist. So, of course, after Watts is beaten, that's when Ironwood just takes Watts' bag and takes care of his arm, so his arm is all bandaged up. And then, of course, when he walks in there, he sees something on the desk. And what is that exactly? Well, he sees the Queen chess piece, which I thought was a cool throwback to Volume 2 when Cinder hacked the CCT, and, of course, you know, you had the Queen chess piece there. I thought that was really cool. Good throwback to that. And this signifies Cinder is there. And so this is where Ironwood also then proceeds to tell Winter to go and secure the Winter Maiden's powers. Get it? Winter puns. And then, of course, you have Cinder, who is watching Winter because she's going to try to figure out where the Winter Maiden is. Now, personally, I hope Cinder does get the powers. I'm actually all for that. Because there's a lot to talk about here with Cinder, and I'm going to get into that in just a moment. Because, oh boy, we got a lot to talk about with that briefly. But let's get into Ironwood again. So, Ironwood, he has Team RWBY in his office. And he starts to talk about his plan, about how he plans to use the Staff of Creation to take Atlas into space so that Salem can never get it. Okay, so here's the thing I'm going to say right now. This plan, it sucks. So here's the thing of it. What they're obviously trying to do is they're obviously trying to make RWBY right. Because, you know, the protagonist can never be wrong. Team RWBY always has to be right. But the thing is, what makes Ironwood so good is that he's flawed as a character, but the thing of it is that this plan, which is based off of Ozpin's idea, because Ozpin's so good at coming up with stuff, right? And so, think of it as, why couldn't Ironwood have just instead, and this is a better idea in my opinion, taken the Staff of Creation and just created a new CCT tower and built it inside of Amenity, and then just loaded it up to space. They wouldn't have to take Atlas. They could just put Atlas somewhere close to Mantle, and that could work, right? You would think so? Guess not. Apparently that's not the way this works for some stupid reason. I mean, basically it's just so that Team RWBY can be right no matter what, and Ironwood's the bad guy, so that Team RWBY can virtue signal to success, so they can be right. And, you know, be like, yeah, we're right, you're wrong, we were always right all along. I'm so tired of that. And then, of course, you have the Seer Grimm, because they played into Salem's trap card. And thing of it is that Salem has done what she had been wanting to do, and that was to cause distrust amongst everyone, and then RWBY, of course, has to use her speeches because she's been watching too much Naruto and trying to copy his talk no jutsu that he perfected over years of craft. And then, of course, Salem doesn't listen. She pulls an Obito and doesn't listen to it. And then, in turn, what does she do? She then brings up Summer and how, oh yeah, you know, that's the thing. Your mama said that to me. And then, of course, RWBY starts to cry. Now, here's the big thing I want to say about this scene. Finally, RWBY broke down in tears. Now, some people are thinking, wow, you're heartless. No, RWBY has been needing to break down. And, of course, they tried to show this dark kind of idea about Summer. But the thing of it is, RWBY has not had a deep emotional moment other than her breaking down in Volume 3 when Penny died. Yeah, good job, Volume 7. You made that moment useless. Yeah. Still salty about Penny being back. But, think of it as, we needed to see this. We needed to see RWBY finally break down emotionally because this is something that we haven't actually seen. And we all know that RWBY's not a character. She's just I'm always right now. That's who she is. And here's the problem, though, at the same time. I want to bring this up. Summer, if they had something for us to go off of with Summer, this scene would be more impactful. The problem is, there's not anything to go by with Summer's character. We don't know much in terms of the relationship between RWBY and Summer, other than she's the mom, RWBY's the daughter, and she misses her mother, which makes sense that she would, that her mother's gone. Thing of it is, we don't have much in terms of Summer's character. We need to see more. We need to see this. But another thing is that this moment had to be brought up by Salem for her to remember her mother. Why didn't she just remember her mother and the silver eyes back in Volume 6? I've been saying this for so long now. Don't understand this. Oh, the writers didn't think that through. But Salem. I want to bring up something about Salem as well. Because, well, if you know me, I don't like Salem's character. I don't think that she is a good antagonist. And she hasn't realistically done anything, and I think that her backstory is garbage. Yes, I don't like that backstory. I think it's terrible. Thing of it is that backstory just retcons so many things, causes so many problems for the story itself. But thing of it is that Salem has done nothing throughout the series except for be, I'm the mastermind behind everything. Yeah, you know what? Guess who has more character depth? Kaguya. Yeah, I never thought that I would actually think that Kaguya is a better villain than Salem. Everybody knows the Fourth Great Ninja War in Naruto, that arc was so rushed, it was bad, and Kaguya especially was thrown in at the last minute. I think we can all agree that Madara should have been the final antagonist, but yeah, apparently not. But to me, Kaguya is a better villain, and she has more depth than Salem. It's pretty sad. I mean, here's the thing. I am obviously in the very, very small minority here. Cinder, I think, is a better villain than Salem. I like Cinder more than I do Salem. Let me explain why I like her more than I do Salem as a villain. While, yes, she is one-dimensional, thing of it is, Salem gave her the glove to take the Maiden Powers, to be able to steal them. Thing is, Cinder had to plan that out. Watts gave her the technology to hack into the CCT tower. Thing is, she had to plan that out herself. This was not given by Salem, although the series tries to state that Salem came up with everything, when in reality, it was Cinder who came up with the fall of Beacon. She's the one who strategized and came up with the plan, had to go all by herself, had to get Emerald and Mercury as well as the White Fang on her side, which Emerald and Mercury wasn't so hard, they were orphans anyways, so, you know, there's that. But Cinder had to plan everything piece by piece to make it all fall in line. So that means that Cinder had to plan around the plans that she had already planned to make sure that everything went the way it was supposed to, and in the end, she became successful. Okay, well, yeah, of course, RWBY did actually injure her by taking her eye and her arm. At the very same time, though, Cinder's plan worked, as opposed to where Salem has done nothing but sit in her castle and just instruct everybody to go do something. That's why I think Cinder herself is better in terms of what she has done, because, of course, they tried to discredit Cinder of the fall of Beacon, but it was her plan on how to take down the fall. It was her orders to make Beacon fall, but it was her plans that successfully made it fall. But Cinder doesn't get off very easy here. While I do like Cinder, the biggest problem about Cinder is she's very one-dimensional herself as a character. She is one that has never really been flushed out as a character. Volume 6, with her side story, could have at least started to go into a little bit of her own backstory, helping us understand her character better, which I think was a missed opportunity for her character and for some development, for some understanding to her character. Of course, it did reunite the series with Best Girl Neo, but the thing of it is that this could have been the opportunity to expand upon Cinder, and that's something that, sadly enough, they didn't actually do. And so, this is why I think, while, yes, I do like Cinder's character, problem is, they could have expanded upon her. But I think that overall, because she's actually performed actions and done things, other than Salem sitting in her castle doing absolutely nothing and just instructing other people to do it, I think she's a better antagonist. But, thing is, getting off of that, getting back to Ironwood, thing of him is that as a character, he has usually been one to just trust himself. Back in volumes 2 and 3, we saw him really trust more of his own plan, thinking that his own military would be enough to take down Salem. And of course, the fall of Beacon, yeah, it didn't really work out. And so that made him try to learn to trust others. Then, of course, Team RWBY came along, and yeah, he thought he could trust them. Problem is, Team RWBY's been braiding the man and dogging him the whole entire time they've been here, saying that his plans are bad. Yeah, hey RWBY, don't seem to come up with a better plan. Yeah, except for, I don't know, lying to him. Yeah, that's not better, by the way. Which, then again, who's really surprised that Team RWBY would do that? Because, you know, they always have to be right. You know, anybody that isn't with them is against them. They're automatically the enemies. But that's the big thing, is that Ironwood is a flawed character, but that's what makes him likable. If only Team RWBY themselves would learn to comprehend what the people around them are trying to do. This is a time of war. This is not a time of, oh, let's play around and come up with, I'm going to save everyone. Sacrifices are made in war. Everybody knows this. And for Ironwood to say, screw Mantle, we have to save Atlas, well, he's just doing it in a strategic way. Not only that, but think about this. Team RWBY didn't trust this man, and problem here is he gave them everything. He gave them their hunter's license, which they forgot they were even working towards. He even gave them weapon upgrades, as well as new outfits. Come on, the man has done everything in his power. I mean, he's doing his best to make sure the people can trust him, and then here Team RWBY is just going off saying he's the bad guy, when he's done so much to show them that they can trust him. I mean, it's completely absurd. You know, if only Team RWBY just understood this. But no, they don't. They always have to be right. And, of course, Ironwood, as he's walking out, he then is deciding to call upon martial law, which don't see why he could have just done that several chapters ago, but hey, you know, whatever, right? And, of course, that means the Team RWBY, as well as all of her comrades, yeah, they're all seen as criminals. And Ironwood decides to put them under arrest. Think of it as, can't really blame Ironwood because they're going to try to stop him. And, you know, it's too bad that the Aesops, you know, they're not going to win. It's obvious. Anybody can see that they're not going to win this fight. And Ironwood himself, though, best thing is this man, he stood up. He called out Team RWBY on their lies for, of course, Robin Hill, for one, finding out about the plan of Amidity Arena and, you know, then calling them on the lies that they hid from him of Salem. I mean, that was fantastic. He did a good job. I mean, at this point, it seems more like Ironwood is the hero. And at this point, it just feels like Team RWBY is the villains. I mean, they're standing in his way from trying to save the people that he can, you know, in Atlas. I mean, yeah, of course, Mantle would be the sacrifice, but, you know, he's tried to make the better decision here. And that's the problem. Team RWBY, they just never come to the understanding of what is going on. And if they just did, I think that would be a lot better. But Ironwood is that man that is a badass. He is a champion. I mean, he is the Chad. No questions. He is the Chad. I mean, I love how he just put RWBY down like that. It was great. And then, of course, you know, the room gets butchered up. That means that somebody is looking for Oscar. Yeah, that being Neo. And I swear to God, if they screw her over, the divine wrath will come. The biggest rant you'll ever see will be coming if they screw her over. So if I had to give this chapter a rating, what would I rate it? I'd rate it a 7.5. This, to me, was the best chapter in the entire volume so far. I mean, I was actually impressed. And, you know, that's the thing. You have the Watts fight. And, yeah, of course, with Tyrion as well, the villains lose. And here's the thing I want to say about that. While I do want to see the antagonist win because, well, I really like the antagonist characters, Ironwood at least got something out of the fight with Watts. That was great. It was a defining character moment for his character. I think it was really fantastic for Ironwood. Him standing up to RWBY and, you know, telling them to sit down for lying to him. That was great. I mean, him just completely going off on him. Fantastic moment. So I did enjoy that. Fight choreography, everything's just feeling so very rushed. That's the problem. Just these ideas. The whole idea with Summer could have actually been something that could have worked more on. I mean, of course, if they hadn't had, you know, 9 chapters of politics, then, yeah, they could have had a lot more time to explore this stuff. But instead, they had to do Orange Man Bad, which is so stupid. They never should have done that. They could have really explored more of Atlas, more of Mantle. They could have explored more of the characters as well. I mean, there's a lot that just missed out on because they just filled in all of their stupid political agenda that nobody cares about. But if there's one thing I'm going to say, Ironwood has excellent development for a character. And if there's one thing I hope to see him do, I hope to see him be a champion and end somebody with a pencil or a book. Now, that would be satisfying to me in this entire volume if Ironwood did that. That would be like the coup de grace. That would be absolutely fantastic going forward. But, you know, yeah, 7.5. This chapter was definitely the best one in the entire volume so far. But anyways, I'll be back again on Tuesday. Let me know what you think about this entire chapter down below. Subscribe to the channel if you are new here. And make sure you're still subscribed because, you know, YouTube's still unsubscribing people from their favorite channels. So make sure you're still subscribed to all your favorite channels. Hit the video with a like if you enjoyed, and share this video on social media if you found this informative or useful. Also, be sure to follow me on Discord. We have a wonderful community there. Also, there are updates whenever the next video will come out, and any other events as well. So, the link is in the description down below. But anyways, I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful and fantastic day today, and remember, if today was not a good day, tomorrow can always be better. Take care of yourselves and everyone around you. and have yourselves a good one out there, everybody.